The surgeon had saved hundreds of lives, but not his own daughter's. Born unable to walk, she lived in a world of wheelchairs, hospital visits, and shattered hopes. Every doctor said the same. There's nothing more we can do. Then one day, a boy no one believed in, a homeless black teenager dismissed by society, stepped forward with nothing but determination. No degrees, no titles, just a voice that said, "Let me try." What followed would stun the medical world and prove that miracles don't always come from where we expect. Emily was born into privilege. Her father, Dr. Richard Hale, wasn't just a surgeon. He was one of the most respected in the city. Their home was filled with framed diplomas, medical awards, and newspaper clippings praising his brilliance. To the outside world, the Hale family had everything. But behind closed doors, there was a truth that no amount of success could erase. Emily had never taken a single step in her life. From the moment she was born, her legs refused to move the way they should. Specialists were flown in, treatments were tested, experimental therapies attempted. Each time, her father held on to hope, until another doctor shook their head, delivering the same verdict: she will never walk. As Emily grew older, she learned to hide her pain behind quiet smiles. She watched her friends run across playgrounds, dance at school events, and live the life she only dreamed of. At night, she heard her father pacing the halls, a man of science tormented by the one life he couldn't heal. Still, Emily never complained. She painted, read books, and tried to convince herself she was fine. But deep down, she wondered, was this all her life would ever be? And then, on an ordinary afternoon, fate placed someone in her path. Not a doctor, not a specialist, but a boy from the streets, someone with no reason to be believed, no reason to be trusted. Yet he carried with him a kind of hope her father's world of science had long abandoned. It happened on a day that began like any other. Emily sat in her wheelchair near the park, sketching in her notebook. Her father had taken her out for some fresh air before returning to the hospital. The world around her bustled with energy. Children running, couples laughing, joggers passing by. Emily smiled at the life she couldn't touch. That's when she noticed him. A boy about her age, clothes torn and dusty, shoes barely holding together. He sat on the park bench, quietly watching the world the way she often did. People passed by without a glance, some even shifting away as if his presence was a threat. To them, he was invisible. To Emily, he was simply different. Over the next few days, she saw him again and again, always in the same spot. Sometimes he hummed softly, other times he fiddled with scraps of cardboard or wires he found. One afternoon, their eyes met, and he offered her the faintest smile. It wasn't pity. It wasn't mockery. It was the smile of someone who understood what it meant to be overlooked. One evening, as her father took a call nearby, the boy approached. Emily felt her heartbeat quicken. He introduced himself. His name was Marcus. He didn't ask about her wheelchair. He didn't ask about her condition. Instead, he asked about her drawings, pointing at the flowers she had sketched. No one outside her family ever cared enough to ask. As their conversations grew, Emily learned bits of his story. Marcus lived on the streets, moving from shelter to shelter. He had no parents, no home, and very little to eat. Yet there was something in his eyes, resilience, almost defiance against the life handed to him. One day, after hearing her father once again whisper to another specialist about no options left, Marcus leaned closer to Emily and said words that made her stomach flip. "I can help you walk." At first, she laughed, certain he was joking. But Marcus's expression didn't change. His voice was steady. "No one believes me, but I know things. I've been figuring it out for years. Just give me a chance." Emily stared at him, torn between disbelief and a flicker of impossible hope. A homeless boy with no training, no medical degree, no resources, claiming he could do what the world's best doctors could not. Her father would never allow it. Society would laugh at the very idea. But Emily couldn't ignore the certainty in Marcus's eyes. Could it be that the miracle she'd been waiting for was hidden in the most unlikely person of all? The confrontation came faster than Emily expected. When Marcus finally told her father what he believed he could do, Dr. Hale's face hardened. Years of frustration, sleepless nights, and failed treatments boiled into one bitter laugh. You think you can do what decades of medicine could not? You're just a boy from the streets. Don't play with my daughter's hope." Emily sat frozen, her heart pounding. She wanted to defend Marcus, but fear held her back. Her father's words echoed, "Don't play with her hope." But Marcus didn't flinch. With calm conviction, he knelt beside Emily's chair. His hands were steady, his voice quiet but unwavering. He spoke of the exercises he'd been studying, the techniques he'd seen others dismiss, the ways he'd learned to make broken things move again. His belief was so fierce it silenced even Dr. Hale for a moment. Then came the moment no one could prepare for. Emily agreed to try. Slowly, Marcus helped her rise, her legs trembling under weight they had never carried. For the first time in her life, she wasn't just imagining it. She was standing. Gasps echoed from nearby. Dr. Hale stepped forward, his hands shaking, torn between rage and awe. Emily's body wavered, but Marcus steadied her, whispering encouragement no one else could hear. One step, then another. Her face twisted in pain, yet through it came a cry, half sob, half laughter. In that instant, time seemed to stop. The surgeon who had healed strangers all his life watched as his own daughter, written off by every expert, took her first steps. Guided not by science, but by the hands of a homeless boy society had discarded. Emily's knees buckled, but she was still upright, clinging to Marcus's arm. Tears blurred her vision, but one truth was clear. The impossible had just happened. Silence hung heavy in the park after that moment. Emily collapsed back into her chair, tears streaming down her cheeks. Not of despair, but of a joy she had never known. For the first time in her life, she felt the ground beneath her feet, however briefly. She had stood, she had walked. And it wasn't because of her father's titles, or the endless doctors, or the science that had always failed her. It was because one boy believed in her when no one else did. Dr. Hale stood rooted in place, his world of certainty shattered. He had spent years trusting only in knowledge, dismissing anything that didn't come with credentials or research. Yet here was a homeless teenager, without wealth or education, doing the unthinkable. He looked at Marcus with something he had never expected to feel: humility. Emily's life did not change overnight. Her journey was far from complete. But from that day on, she no longer looked at herself as broken. She carried inside her the proof that sometimes the greatest strength comes from those society overlooks. Marcus disappeared quietly after that day, returning to the shadows of the city. But his impact remained, etched forever into the lives of the Hale family. He was living proof that brilliance, compassion, and strength are not defined by wealth or status. And perhaps that is the deeper truth this story carries: that racism and prejudice blind us to the gifts and humanity within those we choose to dismiss. How many more Marcuses are out there, unseen, unheard, and underestimated? Emily's first steps were more than just a miracle for one girl. They were a reminder for us all. Sometimes hope doesn't wear a white coat. Sometimes the answer comes from the very place we least expect. And so, Emily's first steps became more than just a personal victory. They became a lesson for us all, a reminder that worth is not measured by wealth, status, or skin color, but by the courage to believe in the impossible. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it, talk about it, and keep the conversation alive. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories that deserve to be heard.